What is going on? I'm John Middlekauff. This is my YouTube channel. I need you to subscribe, like the video, share with your friends. Here's the plan. I obviously have football podcasts. Last year, I started a golf podcast. It is on the 3 and Out podcast feed. But during football season, it's very difficult. A lot of moving parts to get that up. So what I thought is do some golf content. I have at GoloPod is an Instagram account. I post some stuff there. I'm going to do a lot of golf content on YouTube channel moving forward. And I have some ideas, maybe doing some live shows throughout some of the majors, some of the other big tournaments, maybe the Players, maybe Waste Management, but that's during football week. It's difficult. We'll see how the year plays out, but I'm going to have a lot of golf content, PGA Tour. You know, I moved to Scottsdale, joined TPC Scottsdale, so I'm going to be playing out there a lot, maybe do some records, bring a camera, just got a tripod. We'll start messing with some stuff. We got a lot of fluid moving parts here. We'll see how the cookie crumbles, but the game plan is to do a lot of golf content. I love golf. Football pays the bills, but golf is a true love of mine. And I consume a shitload of golf. I play a lot of golf. I think about golf all the time. So we're going to kick the pod up, the Golo pod. Sobel came on with me every week last year to talk some gambling. I gamble on golf. Plan on dabbling a little on Maverick McNeely, Sahith Theegala, and maybe even a little Gary Woodland this week at Torrey Pines, who actually my brother played. I've never played it, but my brother played a couple years ago, right after they had the U.S. Open that Jon Rahm won. Maybe it was like a couple months after. He said it was in terrible shape. Sometimes with these munis, man, you just never know. It's obviously they get it in great shape for the farmers and whatever they have the U.S. Open out there. But yeah, so the game plan is just to rock and roll. And I just want to hit, because I haven't done any golf content besides some Instagram posts. I got some takes. I got some thoughts. We're going to hit on Rahm. We're going to hit some bets this weekend, and then some of the breaking news with LIV. First and foremost, Jon Rahm is on a scorching heater. Most of us that play golf, we're always the opposite. We would love to have a birdie or two. You know, Jon Rahm is kicking ass and taking names. If he plays like this, he's the best player in the world. Now, we'll see Rory, how he rounds into form here before the Masters. Obviously, he was incredible last year. He became the #1 player in the world. I've said over and over, I planned on putting a large wager on Rory McIlroy for the Masters. I think you got to do that for Jon Rahm as well. And I think we all think that Rory McIlroy is going to win a major this year. If Jon Rahm's going to play like this, Jon Rahm should win a major this year. And Jon Rahm, a lot like Rory, but Rory and Spieth, they banged out multiple majors so early that they just had several on their resume. And they went for a long time just trying to win another one. They still are. Jon Rahm became such a great player. And then until he won at Torrey, I was like, is this dude going to win a major? And then he won one. And then you watch him early this year, like, this motherfucker's going to win about 5. I remember Pat Perez on with Colt and Sleaze on the Golf Subpar podcast talking about, because he plays with them out at Silverleaf, which, I haven't got out there. Might have got a loose invite. We're still trying to work our way out to play the Leaf. But he plays with them a lot, or did pre-LIV, and was like, I don't think you guys realize this guy is going to win so many majors. He's got it all. And it's easy. A lot of players say that about the best guys they play with. But when you watch Jon Rahm, like, what doesn't he have? Oh, his putting's off a little bit. Fucking guys get hot putting. His ball striking is elite. He's deep. He has every shot. And his swing to me is very replicable. Of course it is, because he doesn't swing that far. So how often when you're watching Jon Rahm does he really get like blowing it off the planet? That's not really his game. When he's off, really, his short game's off. Well, short game to me kind of comes and goes. Like, no one's going to, pretend Rory McIlroy is Brad Faxon or, Jon Rahm, Steve Stricker. Who cares? When you can hit the ball like that, you will have hot weeks putting, especially at big tournaments. I think the over-under on majors in Jon Rahm's career is probably 4.5. So when he plays like this, him beating Davis Thompson isn't the craziest thing. I'll be honest. I had to Google who Davis Thompson was. But the way that he came back in the Century, now Morikawa had to fall apart, because at a course like that, with that level of lead, I think he had 3 straight bogeys, if I remember correctly, on like 11, 12, or 13, or maybe it was 13, 14, 15, whatever. and Rahm just came, shot 10 under or whatever on Sunday. But that field was clearly better than the field he just played in. Though there were some pretty good players down in Palm Springs. I'm just fascinated. Rory and Rahm this year, both of them could just come out guns blazing. I mean, they are, to me, the Ryder Cup. Now that a lot of the LIV guys are probably not going to be allowed to play, even though Rahm told the no lane up guys that he believes they should be able to play. And I agree. Like the Ryder Cup is not the PGA Tour versus LIV. The Ryder Cup has nothing to do with LIV, a lot like the majors. To me, I have no problem if they want to allow Sergio Garcia or Ian Poulter to play. Now, ideally, if you're those squads, you need to start kind of bringing some younger guys up the pipe. I mean, those guys are holding on for dear life for their careers. So you got Rahm, you got Rory, you got Hovland. Their high end on the European team is really fucking good. Now, can they bring the depth that we can? No, because like ultimately, if we lose DJ, that sucks because DJ and Colin Morikawa, the BFF crew that we didn't know we needed, we can replace that pretty easily. It's much more difficult. I mean, Sergio's, I think point-wise, the greatest Ryder Cup player in the history of the sport. So it is just more difficult for them because they're somewhat limited by the countries. Like the President's Cup, to me, if you could add Asia and Europe, I think that would make it more fascinating, but no one cares what I think. This week at Torrey, my usually early year philosophy at Riviera and Scottsdale, I won't play this. You got to take a big horse there. But when you look at the betting card for this week, Jon Rahm is 4-1. That's like fucking Tiger Woods in his prime. Now, a lot has to do, the field is a little top heavy, like JT Xander, Zalatoris. It is not the field that is going to be at Riv or at the Waste Management, but still 4-1. Even if the field was normal, I would imagine Rahm would be 7.5, 8-1. So he would be the heavy betting favorite for this week. I can't take him at 4-1. That's insane. I like, and I'm going to do the same thing at Pebble Beach. And Pebble is very diluted because so many guys go to the Middle East. I'm going to take a couple flyers this week. And when I say flyers, like I'm just not betting on any of the top guys. The only top guy that I would think about betting on would probably be Hideki, just because his odds are 35-1. To me, I like anyone 40, 50-1 and on that has win potential. Now, Thigala has not won yet, but at 45, 50-1, he's pretty enticing. Southern California guy, went to school at Pepperdine. You know he's played this course. Definitely like him. I kind of like some big hitters because this is a long golf course. Gary Woodland, he's won a U.S. Open before on the West Coast. So, I'm going to dabble on Gary Woodland. Maverick McNeely plays well on the West Coast swing. His odds aren't great. And, you would say he doesn't have much win equity, given that I don't think he's ever won. But I think he will eventually win, just like Davis Riley. Now, Davis Riley is a guy that I'm just going to dabble on until he wins a tournament. Now, he's going to eventually win some random tournament, probably, John Deere Classic, one of the tournaments in Florida, Memphis, who knows? It could be this week. And when I can get Davis Riley 100, 110-1, I think it's worth throwing 25, $50 on. So that will be my longest shot of the weekend. But I love, and I give golf a lot of credit. Like, why fuck with football? What's the point on conference championship weekend? It, to me, is genius to go Wednesday through Saturday. Like, to me, it's an absolute no-brainer. I say this all the time with basketball and baseball. Like, why are you playing in the fall? Hey, baseball, end in early September. Like, end your regular season in, August and play, the playoffs in September. Why are you going to early November? The NBA, why are you starting your season in the middle of October? That is bad business. College football and the NFL are going to throttle you. Now, I understand golf has to put tournaments in the fall for their television packages, but at least we don't pretend they matter, because they don't. But right now, like, right? You would say the Century, whatever, that's just kind of a hit and giggle almost for the pros. To me, starting at about the Farmers, like, I would not be messing with football. So I like that they do this. And no different in Waste Management. It's a little different because of the vibe at the tournament. But what happens there? They end the tournament before the Super Bowl kicks off. So You got to be cognizant of that. No one's beating the NFL. And the NFL throttles baseball and basketball, who have historically low ratings, especially baseball, the World Series. Least watch World Series like ever last year because you're playing in the November. What do you think's going to happen? So props to the PGA Tour for figuring this one out. And a thing I just do not understand, I get 15, 20, 10 years ago, we got to be on TV. But in 2023, for LIV to force feed themselves on the CW, I don't understand it. Now, I get the people running LIV are old. Greg Norman is 67 years old. The people financing him, right? The dude that he answers to, who technically just left, but he's still on the board, don't want to screw up his name. They are more old school and archaic with their mindset. YouTube is the future. What LIV had going on last year on YouTube, making it readily available for all of us, was the way to go. Like Amazon this year, they did not hit what the previous year it hit on Thursday Night Football. Who gives a fuck? Amazon is going to dominate. Every single human, if they don't have Amazon Prime, will have it in the next several years. I do not care that the 70-year-old guy can't figure it out. And I also claim bullshit on that. Because if the 70-year-old guy wants to consume Thursday Night Football, you know what he'll do? He'll call his son. He'll call his grandson. If you want to watch LIV, it is very easy. We all got smart TVs. No one has a television who matters to the advertiser that does not have applications. No one has 2004 televisions at their house. If they do, I'm sorry. Like, you probably don't have much money and you don't matter to the advertisers. So especially the sport of golf, which has a higher end consumer. Their consumer household income dwarfs all the other sports. So for LIV to go to the CW, I wouldn't be opposed to it if they were staying on YouTube, but they're not staying on YouTube. They're leaving it because, of course, CW, if we're going to do business, you can't be on YouTube for free. I don't like it. And this notion, all these older people love saying, you got to be on linear TV. Bullshit. You just do not. That is just not true. Now, for certain things, it helps. Like, obviously, for the PGA Tour being on CBS and NBC, or the NFL being on Fox and CBS and NBC. Yeah, but CW, I just completely disagree. I think where they were trending, and yeah, you're going to have some better tournaments than others in terms of viewership. I think part of the problem is Greg Norman and the older people associated with LIV, not the players, but the management. They have this archaic way of thinking. And when they see a number that diminished, because as the fall, here's my issue. Like, LIV's schedule came out. I do not care. Just tell me when they're playing, I'll click on. They're not playing. The majority of the courses they're playing aren't going to intrigue any of us. But if a tournament's going on, maybe I'll throw it on my computer on YouTube. Like, I never cared. Like, oh, it lives on this week. Boom. It was very easy to follow. I'd see it on Twitter, and then I'd click on YouTube. Now it's much more difficult. The point of entry for me as the consumer is much harder putting it on this channel that I don't know where it is. I just adamantly disagree trying to get, like, if you could have got on Fox Sports 1, okay. Now we're talking. If you could have got on CBS Network or one of those, I get it, which you never would have because most of these networks are in bed with the PGA Tour beside Fox, and even Fox, not even worth it for them. Like, they're not kicking off college basketball to watch Phil Mickelson shoot 78. But YouTube, like, I do business on YouTube, and I'm nowhere near anyone that matters on YouTube. Anyone that matters on YouTube is cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Like, everyone has access to it, and it's like the age, they need older people. Bullshit. I can't get behind it. I think it's a mistake by LIV, and I think you are making it more difficult for us to find you now. And I think that's just dumb because it didn't get any easier for us to find you than last year on YouTube. The broadcast was good. And if you remove that, I think you're doing the business a disservice. So I think that's a big win for the PGA Tour for them going to the CW for sure. Okay, more golf content coming. Mav McNeely, Thagala, Davis Riley, Gary Woodland are my plays this week. Torrey Pines, hit them straight, baby.